Hey everybody, welcome to the Vertigo Recovery Doctor. I'm Dr. Kevin Smith. I'm a vestibular physical therapist, and today we're talking about a fascinating topic, the potential of nature-based therapy to help with vertigo and dizziness. And I know many of you struggle with these debilitating symptoms, and you're constantly searching for an effective way to find relief. We often discuss traditional treatments like vestibular rehab and exercises for therapy. So I thought this was a novel and interesting research article that I came across that looked at a 10-week span of people doing nature-based therapy. We're going to get into exactly what nature-based therapy is and what it might be able to do for you in this video. So a recent study looked at this design for post-concussion syndrome. So you may be wondering, okay, well, I have dizziness and vertigo. Why am I, looking at a research article for post-concussion syndrome? And the answer is because a lot of symptoms that go along with concussion also are experienced with people who have chronic vertigo. So concussion symptoms could be anything from dizziness, balance issues, mental fatigue that often overlap with people who are experiencing vertigo, especially if it's chronic. So these insights can really, I think, transition over to people who are experiencing vertigo and be helpful for you. And so this study, as I said, looked at a 10-week program incorporating nature-based therapy. And so what exactly was included in this nature-based therapy? So they did physical exercises and vestibular exercises. They did sensory training. So everything they did was taking place in this kind of therapy-based garden. So it's this kind of nature preserve that, I looked up online. I think it's in Copenhagen, and it looked pretty cool. And so when they're doing sensory training, they're looking at the sights and the sounds of the forest and the meadow and the streams, walking on varying terrain. They did relaxation techniques in this garden or forest. They also focused on psychoeducation, so therapists providing information on how to manage and cope, or what the management and coping strategies would be for post-concussion syndrome or symptoms that they may be experiencing. And then they also did home exercises as well. And so this was kind of taking place with the physical, vestibular, and addressing the concerns of kind of mental health as well. And so it wasn't just focused on specifically exercise. They also did a lot of mental health activities too. And a lot of these also encouraged kind of body scans to reduce stress and mental fatigue, which can exacerbate dizziness, especially if you're having some kind of anxiety. And what they called, this nature-based therapy is something they called attention restoration theory. So essentially, nature can help restore your brain's ability to focus and pay attention. So a lot of times we're getting so wrapped up into our symptoms, so wrapped up into what we're feeling, that when you take a moment outside in nature to just relax and pay attention to something else outside of yourself, it can be very calming, help engage your parasympathetic nervous system, which is that rest and digest, that relaxation. That became really important for your brain to be able to heal and recover. And so I thought this was a really neat study. Some of the drawbacks of it is that they didn't have a control group, but they did do a control, what they call the control period. So they had measured the kind of the symptoms with no intervention, and then I think it was about 10 weeks, and they went into this 10-week program to see what their symptoms would be like after it. And what were the results? So the symptoms that a lot of people came into it were experiencing were ranging from mental fatigue, dizziness, headaches, attention and concentration difficulties, memory problems, sensory issues, and sleep disturbances, and as well as irritability, stress, sensitivity, anxiety, and depression. And the results is that they found that there was a statistically significant decrease in mental fatigue scores. There was improved mental well-being. There was also sustained improvements at 10-week follow-up as well. And a lot of these scales that they did were were subjective, so it was what the people that were experiencing it reported. It is good to note that I think the people that did participate in this study kind of already were had a propensity to enjoy nature, so that might be have been a little bit of bias, but I think that this is kind of something that we can look more at with vestibular rehab is how are we incorporating nature, being outside to kind of slow down and reduce our stress, to kind of focus outside of ourselves. And I think some of the interesting things just from a vestibular standpoint are when you're out in nature, there can be different terrains. So you're working on your balance. You're probably listening to different sounds. So you're engaging your other sensory systems. And that's a lot what we do in vestibular therapy is try to try to get your brain to utilize more of your other sensory systems instead of just being reliant on one, which is often the vision. Maybe you hear some of the sounds and you're looking around, so you're incorporating head turns when you're walking around in nature. Maybe you're looking up at the trees, which is important for, head turns, and vestibular stimulation is important for, retraining the brain after you're experiencing dizziness. So there's a lot of these like simple things that may be contributing or helping to improve your brain's ability to reorganize your sensory systems, how your brain's processing all your sensory systems. But I also think that that is a huge component, is that reducing stress and kind of engaging that relaxation and that rest in your soul. And so I'm not suggesting that you ditch your current treatment plan and move into the woods, but maybe incorporate some of that, going a walk in the park, practicing mindfulness in a garden, or simply bringing some plants into your house maybe can have a positive impact on your well-being and potentially even your vertigo symptoms. Or just slowing down and taking a breath, relaxing, not focusing so much on your symptoms all the time. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts, if you've noticed any connection between your vertigo and exposure in nature, if you've tried going out, if you've noticed a decrease in your symptoms when you go for a hike, when you go for a walk, when you're out in nature. Let me know in the comments below, and please share this video with anybody you know who might benefit from it. Thank you for watching.